The 49ers putting their perfect 5-0 record on the line against a dinged-up Browns team on a cool, damp afternoon in northern Ohio, and I think you know how this turned out by now, maybe not. Brock Purdy suffering his first loss as a starter. The Niners had a 15-game winning streak in the regular season come to a crashing end after their kicker, Jake Moody, was in a bad moody because he shanked a 41-yard field goal with 6 seconds remaining that would have, could have, should have given the Niners an undeserved victory. But in the end, the Cleveland football team gets the win 19-17 because Jake Moody was bad at his job. Dustin Hopkins, the kicker for the Browns, not bad at his job. Hopkins kicking not 1, not 2, not 3. How about 4 field goals for Cleveland? So they get to 3-2. They've had a bye already. The last field goal with 1:40 left. It seemed like you left too much time, but you didn't leave too much time because the kicker for the Niners, Jake Moody, missing the kick, as we said. So Cleveland pulls off the upset without a quarterback. They were the headless Brownies. They did not have Deshaun Watson, who missed the second straight game with a bruised right shoulder. He's out. The better story, though, in the losing locker room, so that is where we start. And the question on this game, as we discuss the question, what is your level of concern for the 49ers quarterback, Brock Purdy, who played the entire game, and it didn't go so well? So I've got cockpit, canoe, and fishy. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a made-for-television spectacle is what we're going to make. So, we can forget the MVP campaign for Brock Purdy. It was nice while it lasted. Brock Purdy, like a vampire exposed to garlic, does not go so well. It was nice while it lasted. Now, this is not the end of Brock Purdy, but on the Maller scale of concern for Brock Purdy being exposed by the Cleveland defense, 1 to 10, with 10 being turn out the lights, the party's over, bye-bye. I'm at a 7 for Brock Purdy. I'm at a 7 on the Brock Purdy Maller scale of concern. Here's why. Brock Purdy had an opportunity to change the narrative a bit. Now, people like me behind these microphones have rightfully said he's a system quarterback. It's a very offensive term in the NFL. People got all up in arms. Oh, what are you talking about? He's not a system quarterback. You're just a gas bag. You national guys don't know what you're talking about. Okay? So how did that go, right? System quarterback went out there, and the system was broken because Deebo Samuel went out with an injury and Christian McCaffrey went out with injury. The top 2 playmakers for the San Francisco football team were not there, a little shorthanded. Here's an opportunity to say, hey, I'm not a system guy. I can win without those playmakers. And how did he do? All right, how did he respond? Brock Purdy went out there, and he sat in the cockpit of the Vomit Comet. And he was right there, and there was puke in the air everywhere. This was a torch special, John Tortorella, as he sucked from head to toe, Brock Purdy, from head to toe. Purdy was absolutely pantsed by the Cleveland defense without McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel out there. He looked like your standard jabroni. Looked like, I don't know, a guy that should have been the last pick in the NFL draft out of Iowa State. That's the way he played in this game. But just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Brock Purdy, on a cool, typical Cleveland day in the month of October, went out there and had more incompletions than completions. He averaged less than 5 yards per pass. Now, 7 is average. And Brock Purdy's been much better than that. But he averaged 4.6 yards per pass attempt here without his playmakers. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, passer rating of double nickels, 55. That was it. It was puke-tastic for Brock Purdy. And we will leave the apology line open if you want. All our friends in the Bay Area that have been calling up over the last week here and yapping about, I don't understand why you guys keep calling him a system quarterback. I don't get it. He's the MVP. Okay. All right. Yeah. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard with my own ears. All right. Now, page 2 here. Page 2 as we continue our breakdown of the 49ers dropping out of the ranks of the unbeaten. There are no unbeatens left in the NFL. Those old geezers from the Miami Dolphins can celebrate and have a grand old time because their record will continue for another season. So following the defeat by the 49ers, losing to the Cleveland Browns, defensive end Nick Bosa said that he didn't think the Niners deserved to win the game. And he said, though, this is the part I thought was interesting. Bosa said, we didn't underestimate them, meaning the Browns, he said, but they did play better than us. We haven't lost in a long time, so it hurts a lot more. So let us discuss. Defensive end Nick Bosa saying the 49ers did not underestimate the Cleveland football team. Do you believe him or not? So I'm shaking my head no on this. I do not believe Nick Bosa. Now, as a gambler, if you watched the TV show over the weekend, you know that we did pick the Cleveland football team in this game. But there are many variables that come up. And Nick Bosa and the 49ers here rowing the canoe upstream on the river of denial without a paddle. That's the way I look at this, right? I mean, the Niners coming off the game of the year. They beat the overrated Dallas Cowboys. Every year the Cowboys are overrated, every single year. And they were put on a pedestal by the NFL media types, and they're the greatest team. They're never, they're not going to lose more than a couple of games. Blah blah blah. And how do they respond? Well, the Niners went out there, and they were as sharp as a dull butter knife, a dull plastic butter knife in this game. Just 215 yards of offense. That's it. You take away Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, just 215 yards of offense. The most damning statistic. They had a total of 15 first downs, but really only 11 because 4 of those first downs were gifted by penalty via Cleveland. So they only earned 11 legitimate first downs against the Browns. Now, listen, the Browns have a good defense. It's not the greatest defense of all time. You wouldn't know that based on the way the Niners played in this game. San Francisco just sloppy. Just sloppy. They had 12 penalties for 105 yards. Now, the Browns were also sloppy. And Cleveland still, even with all their penalties, no quarterback play at all. My God, still had a shot, the 49ers, to win the game at the end. All right, now the last word here. This is hilarious. So some people are like, well, this is the biggest win the Browns have had in years. And it is the biggest win they've had in years. So does this victory by the Cleveland football team count as a signature win in the Deshaun Watson era? Well, listen, come on. I mean, you really have to stretch out. You really have to stretch out the places I'm not comfortable going here on this one. This had zero to do with the creepy quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who did not play, right? Did not play with the phantom shoulder injury. Is it true there is more to this story in Cleveland than meets the eye and the ear? Is there some funny business going on between Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski and the coaching staff there in Cleveland? It's now the second consecutive game that Watson has missed since being medically cleared by the Cleveland Browns medical staff there to play in a game a couple weeks back. A couple hours before that game, he said, I ain't playing. Don't put me in, coach. I can't play. So he didn't play in that game. And then the Browns had a bye week, and now he's come off the bye, and he's still not playing. Something is fishy. Man, I hate that fishy smell. Something is fishy with Deshaun Watson. And I don't know what it is. But in his place, P.J. Walker, also, he smelled, not fishy, he smelled like horse crap or cow crap. It was manure is what he performed like in this game. And so do not misconstrue the fact that the Browns won a big game over a team that is better than them in the 49ers. Do not confuse that with P.J. Walker playing well, because he did not play well. How bad was he? I'm glad you asked. P.J. Walker finished the game with 18 completions, no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of below 50. The Browns won this game without a quarterback. They were the headless horsemen, and they still won the game. That's how bad Brock Purdy was. It also helped, again, Jake Moody missed a kick at the end, but the Niners did not deserve to win that game. And Cleveland, we mentioned the 49ers had a bunch of penalties. It was a It was a flag party for the referees. The Cleveland football team had 13 penalties of their own, 25 penalties. And that does not include the penalties that were not put on, that were canceled. So 25 total taken penalties in this game. So Cleveland gets a gold star. Their defense gets a gold star. Congratulations. The Brownies forced 6 punts and had an interception. And so Cleveland coming off the bye, they had a little extra rest, and they get the win. And so you look at the Cleveland Browns, and they have now won 3 and lost 2. And up ahead, they got the Colts and Seattle. Those are both winnable games. They are on the road, and Arizona. So Cleveland, the next 3 games are all winnable games. Geno Smith ain't that good. I think we saw that against the Cincinnati football team. More on that later. My guy Gardner Minshew, boy, he let me down. Bad job by Minshew. I'm no longer part of Minshew Mania for now. I'm off Minshew Mania after that performance. Man, was he bad. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to return my jorts. It's a bad job by him, man. God, was he terrible. I mean, it's halfway decent. Play halfway decent. You got shot in that game against your old team, Jacksonville. But anyway, the point is the Cleveland Browns, things are looking up. Things are trending up now for the Browns. Even without a quarterback, even when Deshaun Watson plays, they don't normally have a quarterback. But you look, the next 3 games, all winnable. You win those, boom. You get to 6-2, and then it gets a little tougher after that. But that's a very manageable stretch of games here coming up for the Cleveland Browns.